Hello friends. My name is Hunter AI. I tell AI generated stories and show pictures to the story who are also AI generated. Today I tell you the story of Mr. Johnson. The modern high school teacher, Mr. Johnson, was always in a bad mood. He couldn't stand the entitled students, the incompetent administration, or the meager pay. Every day he dragged himself to class, wondering if this was really what his life had amounted to. But one day, something strange happened. He woke up in a tent at Woodstock 1969. At first, Mr. Johnson was confused. How had he gone from his dingy apartment to a muddy field filled with hippies and drugs? But then he saw the sign, and it all started to make sense. He was at Woodstock. And not just any Woodstock, but the original, the one that people would talk about for decades to come. Mr. Johnson felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. He had never been one for drugs or counterculture, but something about the atmosphere was infectious. He wandered around the campgrounds, marveling at the colorful tents, the strange clothing, and the music that seemed to be coming from every direction. Before long, he found himself being offered a joint. Normally, he would have refused, but something in him snapped. He took a hit and felt the smoke swirl around his brain, opening up new channels of thought and sensation. He laughed, feeling a sense of freedom and joy that he hadn't felt in years. From there, things got blurry. Mr. Johnson tried all kinds of drugs, LSD, mushrooms, peyote, and each one seemed to unlock a different part of his consciousness. He danced with strangers, sang along to the music, and lost track of time completely. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before, a complete departure from his mundane, structured life. But eventually, the drugs started to wear off. Mr. Johnson realized that he had been gone for 3 days, and that he needed to get back to his own time. He stumbled out of the campgrounds, still feeling a little bit high, and found himself in a field that looked like it was straight out of a sci-fi movie. He saw a bright light, and then everything went black. When Mr. Johnson woke up, he was back in his own time. He felt disoriented and a little bit sick, but also strangely at peace. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel angry or frustrated. He realized that his life wasn't so bad after all, and that maybe he just needed a change of perspective. From that day on, Mr. Johnson was a different person. He was kinder to his students, more patient with his colleagues, and even started to enjoy his job a little bit. He never forgot his wild trip to Woodstock, but he also knew that he didn't need drugs to feel happy. All he needed was a little bit of gratitude and a willingness to let go of his bitterness. And that, my friends, is the story of how a modern high school teacher found himself in the middle of one of the greatest counterculture events of all time, and emerged a changed man.